The Garden Report is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report here in Brooklyn. Barclays Center. A great game tonight. 124-114. Celtics sustained various Nets runs throughout the game, led by Jayson Tatum with a 32-point performance that helped him reach the 10,000 point mark in his career, which Josue was there talking to him about post-game. Meant a lot to him.
25 years old. Crazy, man.
Meant a lot to him, didn't it?
Yes, yeah, it meant the world to him, Bobby. You know, especially this happening here at the Barclays Center, the building where he was drafted. And he opened up a little bit, right? He talked about how he wasn't quite sure if he's going to be like a focal point of the offense. I mean, you have to remember at the time, Isaiah Thomas was still on the team. Later on, you know, Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, and he mentioned that. And I thought that was pretty cool, pretty humble of him to say, especially when he's described himself as arrogant, you know, an arrogant young player who thought, you know, he had it all figured out, thought that, you know, what being a great basketball player was going to happen overnight, so to speak. I mean, he didn't use those words, but it sort of felt like he wasn't quite sure that he would emerge as the leader of this Celtics team, which obviously we're not surprised at this point. I mean, what is it, 6 years removed now from draft night here at Barclays Center to do what he did out here. He says going into the game, he knew he needed 16 points to reach 10,000 career points, but didn't know he would be, in doing that he'd be the youngest Celtic of all time. So it was a very, very special moment for him.
Good game for him, too. Gets off the ball, some early turnovers. The Nets threw multiple defenders at him, especially late. And in the fourth quarter, he was able to get the ball to Drew Holiday in the middle of the floor and helped him get 10 assists, even though Tatum ended with 1 himself. Went to the power game when he needed to, hit a ton of threes here. The shot was on, and it has been early this season, which has led to more consistency from him. And, you know, 5 games in, we're going to start talking about MVP as we did on the show.
Hey, we got the chance, especially on the road. You know that conversation is always going to pop up.
But it might be relevant if he's going to shoot consistently this year, if he's going to make an impact defensively and on the boards, and if this team is the best team in the league as they are so far, he'll be right in that mix.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, this is the beginning stages, if you ask me. If you look at, you know, prior MVP seasons, it's sort of how it starts, right? A team that gets out to a quick start, you know, is able to sustain that high level of play, and I think Tatum has done that, and especially in the sense of being a playmaker, like you just mentioned, something that Joe Mazzulla talked about. You know, knowing what it feels like to be on the other side of getting those assists, and how important it is for a team that's going to do the same thing for you. So I think that's another part of Tatum's game that's evolved for sure, as a playmaker, as a leader, and Joe Mazzulla had nothing but great things to say in the sense of how he's able to fulfill that role at a level that, you know, not a lot of NBA players are always, you know, willing to do in terms of being coached and wanting to be coached and wanting to be held accountable. And obviously, you know, as a leader, Tatum's been doing the same with his teammates, and I just seeing him play at the highest level of his career, if you ask me.
FanDuel is the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
No Derek White tonight, too. Added all the more pressure. The Nets brought it to them. Speed into the half court, a ton of three-point attempts. And the Celtics did have some stretches in this game where they lost leads, where they faced some legitimate adversity, which we haven't seen a ton of from them, especially over the last 2 games where they were up 30 in each of them. So he responded, they responded, and the biggest thing too that Joe said I thought was relevant after the game was they're finding joy, they're buying into setting each other up. And I think Tatum's embodying that by giving the ball up. And as we've said for years, if he gives it up, he's going to get it back often, and he did tonight with another 30-point game.
Right, and you know, when you surround him with talent like this, I mean, it's easy when you look at where he's at in the stage of his career, and obviously, you know, at this, you know, entering his prime years, he's just playing at an elite level, and you got guys like Drew Holiday, who, if you ask me, especially in this one, you know, another stellar performance, but
he was awesome.
This guy's like a chameleon, man, or a Swiss Army knife, whichever metaphor you want to use. use, I mean, it applies.
Plays well with Tatum, too.
Plays well with Tatum, and he just does a little bit of everything. You want some playmaking, he's got you. He's got those pull-up three-point shots that I think, you know, is always going to be there for him in the sense of defenses trying to guard him.
Big defensive plays in this game.
Big defensive plays. He's the same guy setting the screens. He's the same guy who, if he gets caught on the switch down low, he can still make a stop for you. So all that is so relative when you look at someone like Tatum, who's, entering the prime years of his career, playing at such a high level, holding guys accountable, and then you have these guys who complement your game in a way that we haven't really seen, you know. And I think you look at Kristaps Porzingis, he certainly fits that description as well.
That's going to be the challenge, though. Stacked team, ton of stars on the roster. If he is lined up against Luka Doncic, that could hurt him here. So you're balancing that, you're balancing winning, and this year, what I think really works in his favor, and I said this on the show, he plays every game.
Yeah.
And there's a 65-game threshold that's going to eliminate some contenders, and I think it's going to make voters factor in whether he plays more games than some competitors for the award.
Yeah, no question, no question. I mean, look, this is a conversation we'll carry throughout the entire season, but you also have to remember that, you know, there's going to be other nights like this, right, where the Celtics are challenged even more so than what we saw tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. So, I mean, those stellar performances are always within reach when you're talking about someone like Jayson Tatum. Those 40-point, 50-point performances, I mean, we've already seen a handful of them throughout his career, you know, up until this point, and he's 25 years old. So I just, again, like, we don't want to get over the top excited about this team in the sense of, you know, their championship aspirations, but when we're talking about Jayson Tatum, where he's at, I mean, it just sticks out so much when you think about last season, the way it ended, right? I mean, the hurt ankle in Game 7, you know, the trials and tribulations this team has been through, you know, the NBA Finals in 2022. I just think all of that, it makes this year obviously all the more important, but you're seeing Tatum just evolve because of that, you know. And I think when you look at the organization, the way they surrounded him with this type of talent, it's sky's the limit. But it's always going to be up to him, right? He's got to also not only hold guys accountable, but at the same time make sure that everyone's on the exact same page. So being an elite playmaker, or at least the best version of Tatum that we've seen, is going to bring this team far. But it's just been fun to watch. Even though it's only 5 games in, you're like, man, again, it just looks like the makings of the MVP season, and it looks like one of those years where this team could possibly get it done. I know it's still early. I know it's only 5 games in, but they just continue to check all the boxes, you know, 2 weeks into the regular season.
Yeah, 5-0 and doing it in a tough game tonight. The Nets played them well. I really enjoyed watching this one. It was fun. Josue, Pavon, Bobby Manning. We're going to talk about the bench in our next video here.
Yeah.
They played a big role in this one, and you had a standout performance from none other than Luke Cornett.
Your boy.
So we're going to hit on that, and then we're going to get out of here. Celtics on to Minnesota. I'll have coverage in Philadelphia on Wednesday, and then they're back home for a back-to-back next weekend. This has been the Garden Report here in Brooklyn for CLNS Media and Celtics All Access. Josue Pavon, Bobby Manning. Talk to you in the next video.
With the busy fall season already in swing, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. Head to factormeals.com/newsfeed50 and use code newsfeed50 to get 50% off. That's code newsfeed50 at factormeals.com/newsfeed50 to get 50% off.